So that's going to go down as the best A&M football game of my life. The best moment in this program's history as long as I have been around. Definitely the best win, the best moment in its SEC history, in its Elko's era. It's stamped in. This was a game where we were going to be talking about whoever comes out the other side on top as a true playoff contender, and we're doing it in a year one. You've established a culture, and that culture shone through in this game. You were down 17-7 at the half, and not a huge point discrepancy, manageable 10-point difference, but it felt like much more than that. It felt like you were down 30 in this game with how lifeless the offense was, how the defense was giving up yardage, maybe stiffening up in the red zone, but giving up yardage matter of time before that thing broke through, like they did with that Aaron Anderson play where you couldn't get them on the ground. Slant goes for a touchdown. Explosive play. You're waiting for more of those. And it was depressing. It felt so bad for a while. I mean, as fans, we felt that. And you know the team felt that. But they absolutely flipped the switch. They never stopped believing. They never stopped working. You found a pass rush. And that was really, really what changed the game. And the play that changed it was the BJ Mays interception. And that wasn't a blitz play. You found pressure with 4. You had good coverage on the play too. Quarterback couldn't get rid of the ball quickly. You flushed him out. And it turns out Nuss isn't as good on the run. It turns out that's when he makes the mistakes. And you only had 2 sacks on the game. Both came late. But you got pressure. A lot of pressure late in the game. You got him moving. And you got him off his axis. He passed 50% on the dot in the game. I haven't rewatched the game yet. This is reveling. We're reveling in it today. This morning, this is my pre-watching the game just experience. This is it. We're talking about what this means and what we just saw. So I want you guys to comment how you're feeling right now. I'm going to sit down and rewatch it right after I record this. I'm dropping another video getting into more detail about the game. But I'm just going to give you that flow and feel that we got throughout this game. Obviously, in the first half, it wasn't working with the passing game. And you were trying to establish a passing game that was very clear. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it felt like you were passing a lot on first down. It felt like you were really committed to passing the ball. And it felt like there was just no rhythm top to bottom. Obviously, Connor got benched in the game. Connor wasn't playing great. It also just wasn't a good game for passing the football because the receivers really weren't getting open either. O-line was having some breakdowns, having some problems. And it really just screamed, you need to make this a running game. You need to make this a running attack. And they were trying to force the issue. They were trying to get the passing game going. Nothing was happening. So it sucks for Connor. Maybe he has a better chance if the pieces around him are doing better because with his tools, he does need help because he's a passer. I mean, obviously. But credit to Elko for making the switch. That's a hard decision to make. That's your 5-star quarterback. That's a quarterback you're committed to as a program. That's a quarterback he talked about saying when he first came in, look, we had a chance to bring other guys in, but we were committed to Connor. We knew he was the guy. That's the decision you had to make. You had to bench that guy. You had to sit him down, say, hey, man, we're giving this game to Marcel. And they did it. And LSU had no answer for it. No answer at all for the zone read attack. The offensive line was having trouble. Obviously, you're going to miss Chase Basantis. I don't know how long he's out, but he rolled into that stadium in a scooter. Looks like that's at least a month, I would guess, right now. If it's a sprain, maybe a month. Maybe a month at best. But we'll see what they say. But the O-line was struggling, You weren't getting a hat on a hat. You were making bad decisions. You were getting beat. The zone read allows you to gain a numbers advantage, maybe adding an extra double team to your blocking schemes, and you allow the quarterback to read off the defensive end or another player. That helped the offensive line out tremendously. Oh, and Marcel Reed is just a gamer, man. He came in fresh. He came in ready. He came in explosive, had great pop, great legs, and he took this team over the top. He changed the offense. He just changed your approach. You scrapped the game plan, and you put a new one in, and it worked. But Reed's the hero offensively. We're talking offense right now. Reed's the offensive hero. But you got to shout out both running backs, man. I thought both running backs had tremendous games, both running in the receiving game, but specifically blocking, especially Amari, man. At the midpoint of the year, I talked about how this running back room has another gear, and that would come by way of Amari just continuing to develop and continuing to learn how to be a down-to-down. I mean, he's not a down-to-down player, but a running back with down-to-down utility. And what I mean by that is plays where he's not targeted, plays where he's not the primary player in the play, still making an impact. Also, just patience running the football. He's doing all of that, and especially blocking. He had a huge block on Terry Bussey's jet sweep that went for like 9 yards. Huge block on that play. He was in the push to get Marcel Reed in the end zone on that play where he kind of got wrapped up right at the 2-yard line. He was the first guy pushing Marcel Reed in, and then 2 O-linemen come in behind and just push that thing over the end zone, and that was a beautiful play. Amari's in that. The running backs, you have 2, borderline elite running back. Moss is elite, but Amari is getting there, man. Amari is right there. In that Moffitt offseason for him and the whole team, paid dividends. Trey Watson was tremendous blocking in the game too. Trey Watson had himself a good game, and early in the year we were talking about how tight end blocking wasn't the best the first few games, and he showed that in the game, man. Really, really good stuff from like these skill position players, tight ends and running backs blocking. Go back and watch and see how the receivers blocked, but you were blocking. You were having some good run blocks once you committed to the run, and they couldn't stop it, man. No answer for it. Just changed the game. So obviously the big question going forward will be, do you stick with Reed? Do you stick with Connor? I think Reed just has that big game mindset, man. Coach's son, great in the press conferences, great interview. Better than Connor in that regard. I'll say that. I mean, we're going to call it how we see it. It just seems like he has a really good head on his shoulders, and that seems like the kind of guy you want leading your team. But we need to see where the passing game goes, and he had one beautiful dime to Noah Thomas in the game. We got to see if he can keep consistent there, because teams are going to, if you switch to Reed, teams are going to start selling out for Reed and game planning for Marcel Reed. You're always able to switch back to Connor if you have to, given the game, given the circumstance. You have 2 quarterbacks. You have 2 quarterbacks that can get it done, at least at times, because it hasn't all been good for both of them. Neither have been perfect their entire 10 years this year. So you have that option. I'm sticking Reed. Reed's the one who performed on the highest stage of the last 15-plus years, man. That's who I want leading the team right now. That's who I would start versus South Carolina, but I would remain flexible. Defensively, hats off to BJ Mays. Yeah, hats off. Good job, BJ. Stepped in for Jaden Hill. Obviously had issues at nickel. And boy, did that fix a lot of problems. He was good the whole game. I know he had the 2 picks late, but early in the game, he had some really, really good coverage stuff too. I thought Des Ricks had a really good coverage game too. It was just good on good. It was Lacey versus Will Lee that really beat us a lot, because Lacey's really good. A&M doesn't give up, is trying not to give up explosives. They're really, selling out for the deep stuff. They were able to get a bunch of comebacks. Nuss had some good balls. And they did move the ball down the field quite a bit. But what the A&M defense did the whole game was stiffen up when they were backed up in their own territory. You forced 4 field goals. They made 1. Shout out Kyle Field. Shout out Kyle Field for forcing that bad snap that just bounced off the holder's shoulder. I mean, yeah, the defense gave up a bunch of passing yards, but like Elko said in his presser, they were one-dimensional, man. They had, what was it? Let's look at the numbers here. How many yards did they have rushing in the game? I think it was like under 50. They had, no way. They had 20. Is this right? They had 24 yards rushing, man. That's a one-dimensional attack, and they were 50% passing too. And you stiffen up in the red zone. You force them to kick. You don't let them into the end zone. They scored 2 touchdowns in the game. 1 touchdown was the explosive Aaron Anderson missed tackle, bad angle in the middle of the field by the linebacker and the safety. But the other one was off a short field, off the Moss fumble. The defense really, really locked in the red zone. And no, they weren't getting pressure early in the game, but once they found it and some was manufactured, like we said, some was rushing for, you just found a way to do it later in the game. And I would argue coverage stepped up too. I have to rewatch it. He couldn't get rid of the ball as quickly in the second half. The whole defense stepped up, man, and that's a good offense. Best offense you faced all year by far. He held him to 23. Only touchdown was off of a short field. A couple shout-outs. Obviously, Nick Scorton still played a good game. Didn't win every battle. Won enough. Got a sack. I want to give a big shout-out to DJ Hicks, man. He's a guy I've been relatively hard on. I mean, I don't go at players. But about Hicks, I've always said, we're still looking for the next steps. We're still looking for the next progression. Never really got it consistently until today. The biggest stage. The biggest game of his career. He played a great game. DJ Hicks got penetration. He made an impact in the game. And that's huge for this defense. And that's huge for the future of the program. Because you're losing a lot of D linemen next year. And he's one of the stars coming back on that interior, man. Regis was solid. Turner was solid. Especially late in the game. Rylan Kennedy had his moment. Good to see a guy like that. A worker. A special teams player. Doesn't get as much reps as he deserves because of people in front of him. I think he had a tackle for loss or a sack in the game. We can pull the numbers back up. Why not? We're just bullshitting here. We're just chopping it up here on a Sunday morning. Let's look at the defensive numbers. Yeah, Torin York had a great game. Back-to-back great games of Torin York. He's playing his best ball of his career right now, and it's great to see. He had the huge interception at the end of the game. Where is he? Boom, boom, boom. Rylan Kennedy, 2 tackles, 1 solo tackle. He had the sack. He had the tackle for loss. And I also love to see Solomon DeShields get in there too, getting a tackle. I mean, these are guys that are just not able to play because of talent in front of them, but these are really good players that step up and have big moments. I even thought Jaden Hill had a few good moments in the game, now in a spell role, because BJ Mays, who has never played nickel before, is taking that thing over and running with it and becoming one of our key players defensively. That's going to change this defense, man. I mean, come on now. I mean, I would say Dalton Brooks probably had his worst game in this one. Just some missed tackles, some bad angles, and you still did fine. You still did fine. But man, this team is looking more complete, top to bottom. I mean, obviously it started ugly, but you stayed alive in the game. You weren't getting blown out, although things weren't going well at all. And then you flipped the switch. All right, man, you're rank 10 now. Everything to play for. Everything in front of you. You got South Carolina, another primetime slot, 6:30, 7:30 local time in Columbia. Big game. Is there going to be a hangover? Are you going to get high on your own supply? I don't think so. I don't think Elko lets that happen. I think you've gone through this situation several times on the year. You know, you had the bye week after Missouri. Then you maybe played a little bit below standard versus Mississippi State. Good enough to win. You had the big win versus Florida. Bowling Green, not a great game. Didn't finish strong in the game. I think you've been through this a couple times, and I think that experience is going to really pay dividends now late in the year. I think South Carolina's not to beat A&M at their best. And I think with their pass rush, I think it would make a lot of sense to use Marcel Reed the same way you used him versus LSU. Now, the luxury you had in the game is he was totally fresh when you started playing him in the second half, and the defense was a bit gassed at that time. And they didn't scout for him. They didn't prepare for Marcel Reed. South Carolina will do that. So it's going to be very important for Marcel Reed to maintain a strong passing threat next week. But I think with their defensive ends and their pass rush and what they do defensively, I think Marcel Reed is a great, great look against them. But you have a massive opportunity. You've never had a bigger target on your back than you do right now. And you got to hold your water for 2 manageable but also losable road SEC games where you're going to be a top 10 team going into desperate, nothing to lose environments in Auburn and South Carolina. How do you handle this? What does Elko get out of these guys? And I think right now it's proven that Elko will get a hell of a lot out of these guys and get them right. Oh, man, what else is there to talk about coming out of this game? Kyle Field, man, the blackout, the recruiting implications. Already got a commit. It happened. Had a feeling it would pay dividends, and it's paying dividends quickly. Aaron Gregory, 6'3", 180 pounds out of Georgia, top 50 player in the 2026 class. He's been courted by A&M for a while now. Went on this visit. He's been to A&M several times, but this one stamped it in. He committed this morning, Sunday morning, after that environment, and I would imagine there are several more to come because that was just a tippity-top tier college football environment, game, atmosphere, event. That game was everything. Kyle Field was everything. DJ Mike was everything. Just a monumental moment in the program's history right there, man. We'll look back on this day. Of course, you have to finish the season strong to stamp it in. But it's very, very likely we look back on this game as a turning point in the history of A&M football. It feels that way. It feels like you have your guy in Elko. It feels like this team has never been more bought into a coaching message, to a program, to a school. And this is an era where it's hard to get that out of players, man. This is the most fickle college football, probably player pool or, atmosphere that we've had ever, given just the NIL and transfer portal landscape. And you're getting the best out of guys. You're getting buy-in from guys. You're getting commits now from guys on these visits. Oh, and you have one more huge visit weekend coming up to close the year out with the Texas game. Things are popping right now, man. They're popping. Yeah. What an atmosphere, man. I mean, 12th man didn't go anywhere. 12th man was feeling down too after how that game started. 12th man stood in there strong and supported the team at the end like they always would. No surprises there. No surprises. Do you guys think Elko took a shot at Jimbo? End of the game? I mean, in the postgame presser, saying we're a real program. We get good people in here. We're not some politician that talks fast, BSing everybody. Is that a Jimbo shot, or is that just a general, comparison? I don't know, man. Elko came guns a-blazing with that one, and he's very measured and calculated. It could be a shot at Jimbo, man. It could be. And it definitely generated some buzz, that statement. That was definitely a headliner right there, what he did. And maybe he knew it would be. Maybe he knew how that would be taken. Maybe he knew that would build some more buzz for this program. Make players want to come here and be a part of this thing. Now with that, development, culture, just learning football the right way, and with that 12th man behind you. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. If you made it this far, let me know. Comment your thoughts. How are you feeling right now? I'm sure it's a lot of good feels right now. Like and subscribe. I'll probably drop another video maybe even today because I'm going to rewatch the game, go into more detail about some players and stuff like that. I'm so looking forward to this rewatch. I'm probably going to rewatch the skyline view. If you guys pay for ESPN Plus, check out the skyline view of this game. It'll give you the stadium sounds. It will have no commentary. It'll just be like you're in the stadium. Watch it with headphones. Watch it on a big screen. Feel like you're there. I'm going to watch that one. Then I'm going to watch the broadcast version just to see how we kind of look at it as a big picture. And I'll get back to you guys very soon. So like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Kick 'em, man. What a freaking game. What a season. What a program. What a team. Love it. Love you guys. Bye.